I am here with my buddy Tiger Safarov. How are you doing?
Fantastic.
He is with ZenSupplies.com, and man, he has an amazing story. Tiger's journey, and it's Tiger like Tiger Woods, and a lion would never drive drunk, but a tiger would. And Tiger's journey in America began when he immigrated from his home country of Russia to the United States in 2005. At the start, Tiger began learning English while driving to work and singing along to Frank Sinatra. With a strong drive to succeed, he started in his early years working multiple jobs during the day and attending night classes at the local community college. A few years later, in 2007, at the age of 22, Tiger started Siegel Construction while pursuing his bachelor's degree in engineering at the Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago. Over the years, Siegel Construction became one of the premier dental and medical design build firms in Chicago, with the aspiration to continue growing throughout the Midwest. In early 2015, Tiger successfully transitioned from Siegel Construction, and today the company continues to thrive and achieve big goals. An entrepreneur at heart, Tiger is currently developing another startup called Zen Supplies. Beyond his business, Tiger loves spending his free time with his family, traveling and interviewing doctors and dental industry professionals for his YouTube show called Dentistry Unveiled. I'm subscribed to your show.
Fantastic.
Adventure world traveler and marathon runner, Tiger is always on the go, but when he finds a minute to kick back and relax, you can always find him wearing his favorite jersey, cheering for the Blackhawks. Go Hawks. That's a hockey team.
It is.
Those guys have no teeth. How can you support a sport that just knocks out teeth?
I support the industry.
You're building business.
Of course.
So it's funny. I'll never forget the funniest World Cup. I forgot what state it was. It was just last year or the year. It was in the last 1 or 2 or 3 years, and they said, I think it was Boston won or something. They go, Boston won the World Cup. There wasn't a single person on that team that was even born in America. They were all Russian, Ukrainian, Canadian.
Switzerland.
Yeah, and somebody pointed that out on. I read an article on that. It said, it's funny how Boston thinks they won the World Cup when there's not even an American-born citizen on the team. I love hockey. We bought the team from Edmonton.
Yep.
And now it's the
Arizona
Phoenix Coyotes.
Yep.
And they're getting ready. It's an amazing sport. I just absolutely love it. So was it scary starting Zen Supplies when last November at the Greater New York meeting, which was one of the biggest meetings in all of dentistry, and half the people there are from around the world.
Yep.
Out of nowhere, Amazon.com had a big dental booth.
Yep.
And at the Dental Trade Manufacturers Association meetings for about 4 years, there's been like 2 guys from Amazon, like Men in Black. You know, they're just kind of there observing, and they've gone, I think, 4 years in a row, and then boom, they're at the Greater New York. So what did that make you think?
I'm pumped. The market is the market. When you started Dentaltown, did you worry about somebody sitting down and thinking that this is going to be the biggest media company? You were the underdog, right?
I was number 40 out of 40. In 1998, I was dead last, and it took like 1 or 2 years to just beat one guy.
Yep.
And it was a 20-year grind to get to the top.
Exactly. But then the problem is everybody will look down at you. And the same thing is going to happen, but the market dictated that you're going to be needed. So the market came in and said, we want to be part of Dentaltown. That was the unique part of it. And that's how it grew. Same thing is going to happen. I mean, it's been forever. Shine, Patterson, Benka, the top 3 companies would own the control of the market. God bless them, but it's got to change.
And why does it got to change?
I mean, there's going to be the transparency part, right? So it's got to be, I mean, again, not blaming anybody. I don't blame the dentist. I don't blame the distributors. I don't blame anybody.
I blame my parents. Every time.
You do?
If anything goes wrong, I call my mom.
It's your fault.
Her it all stems back to my childhood.
Exactly.
Somehow.
Exactly. But here's what happened. I think what's going on is if you have one practice and you're buying cavity wipes for $14, and then the same distributors that have been making money on you go to somebody else across the street and they have 5 ops and they're going to sell the cavity wipes for $9.25, and if you have 55 locations, they're going to sell it to you at $6.25. I don't think it's right. The transparency's got to be there.
Yeah, but you know what? Not to take any of your thunder away.
I got it.
Glad you got it. But the dentist, I mean, I know my homies. I've been a dentist 30 years. I know my dentists. Their number one cost doesn't even show up on an S&P and L shot. It's adjusted production. They charge $1,000 for a crown, but they sign up for insurance PPOs, and they're only going to get paid $600. So their number one cost for the whole industry for general dentists is a 42% adjusted production. So your $1,000 crown just got knocked down to $600. Number two, labor, because every American wants a $1 an hour raise every time the Earth goes around the sun, because it's all based on astrology. And then number three is lab, 10%.
Yep.
So
and number
by the time,
four.
so supplies is clear down there at 6. I know they're always trying to stare at the PPOs, the labor, the lab. Do you think they'll?
Here's why I'm
attention?
pumped about it.
Will they pay attention to little number 4?
Yes, they will. Here's why. For example, when you talk about, when you say savings on dental supplies, right? They will say, well, you know what? Now I have to go on Safco, Net32, all these different companies, right? And say, okay, I'm going to price compare everything.
What did you say? You said Safco?
Yes.
Safco and Net32?
And all these different companies. I hope you're not going to list them in the description. You know,
I don't buy it.
Right, but this is what's going to happen. So if the dentists want to save money on dental supplies, they have to spend 2 hours doing research, and then the funniest part. Can I drop an F-bomb once in a while? Because I hate it.
There's no F word worse than Farran. So
okay,
that's the bottom of the barrel word.
This is what I really hate. When you go on Net32. And the Net32 will show you that the Cavi wipes, the same thing, will cost $725. You say add to cart, and then it shows up at $1075. Why? Because either you have to buy 40, or they're going to add the shipping cost. So all of that, like the dentist will tell me, they will say, I'm not going to fucking waste my time on finding the best dental supplies, because I'm going to have to spend 30, 45, or even an hour trying to find a deal on something. I'm just going to go with Patterson. That's it. And so if we build a tool that's going to be so easy to use, super easy, then the number 4 becomes a number 1, because it's a one sign up and you're ready to go.
Okay, now what I wanted to get out of the way first is I know you guys are driving. 85% of the emails to howard@dentaltown.com said I'd listen to it on the way to work. So I read tweet. I always like to retweet my last guest. I'm at Howard Farran and you're at Tiger _Siegel. Siegel. Why Siegel and not Safarov?
It's just when I was playing around, when I set up a Twitter account for my old company, Siegel Construction, I put it under my name, and I never changed it. I was like, oh,
I thought maybe you had a love affair with Bugsy Siegel.
I mean, if you want to, we can go there.
Was Bugsy, where was he?
His last name, I think, was different, though.
No Bugsy Siegel?
I think it might be spelled differently, but I might be wrong.
Yeah. And also, I need to get the way, you're Russian. You know why I don't like Russians.
I know.
Because
we're going to work on it.
Because I'm Irish.
Yes.
And only 38% of Ireland is alcoholics, but Russia beats us at 40%.
I know. You want to? I'll lose for you tonight if you want to.
I want 2% of Russians to stop drinking so the Irish can be number 1.
So I'm 1.5%.
And I'll tell you what, I saw that the most amazing vodka bar in the world is in Moscow, and the bar is a hockey rink.
Yep.
Have you seen that?
I think I've seen pictures on
they give you your shot of vodka, and it's sitting on a 4-inch ice rink. It is so amazingly cool.
And they have pickles next to it.
When you go to Ireland and drink your Jameson whiskey, it's in like some Dixie cup or That's
and the bar looks like it's been there around for like 500 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so you think these guys are going to start getting serious of saving cost by going to your website, which I'm now on. So your website is Zen Supplies. So Zen. Whenever I think of Zen, I just remember in high school I read this book, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance Repair.
Wow.
Did you read that book?
I have not.
That is a 10 million unit sold book. In the 80s, that was like the hippie religious book of all time. It was such a great book. And it was given to, and I didn't have to buy it. I went to Catholic grammar school. A priest gave it to me. He said, Howie, you got to check out this book. But anyway, so what did Zen mean to you, and why did you come up with Zen Supplies?
So the reason is, it's very simple. Every time you go to a dental office, and remember, we're first inventory management company. Like, we're first inventory management software. The whole price comparison and the whole like saving money came later. One of my buddies, Scott Goldman, who's got a big practice in Chicago, he called me up. He said, Tiger, this whole dental supply thing is a total mess. I go in the office, I don't know how much light I can have. I had a patient today, we didn't have a heavy body. What do? I'm like, I'm going to figure it out. So I sold my Siegel Construction, I put all my money into this, and we figured it out. We built the system. And then what happened is we're sitting on a ton of data, like a ton of data right now. So Shine, Patterson, Beck, all of the prices, I got it for this one company, right? And I'm looking at it, and Scott comes back to me. He says, who's got the better price? I'm like, what do you mean? You have the best price from Benko. He's like, but what about Shine? And so now we started, so it's interesting. Now we're sitting on so much data, and now Shine started approaching us and saying, where do we need to be in order to get that deal with that client? And I'm like, okay, I can't disclose that information. You should contact the client and this and that. But it was interesting that now we're sitting on all this data, and now we have solar doctors who are saying, Tiger, how much this should cost? And I say, well, how much do you pay? They say $15. I'm like, well, it should be $7.99. I don't know from who and where. I'm not going to disclose that information, but I tell them that that's where it needs to be. And then essentially it just became so easy that we need to build a price comparison tool where people can see where and how it's all going to work.
And you know what? I think Sam Walton was one of the greatest Americans of all time.
Walmart?
Of Walmart in Bentonville, Arkansas. You know, most of those great companies come from small town, rural America, where your word is your word, handshake.
Exactly, this way.
And what he said, that he thought that, mom's not stupid, and you've had a going out of business sale every year for the last 9 years. You're obviously not going out of business. And why would everything cost cheaper on a Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July? And Sam said, you know what? I'm not going to play games with Mom. We're doing everyday low cost. And the secret to lower price, lower cost, and all this marketing for the Labor Day sale and the Memorial Day sale and all this bullshit. He says, I'm not playing games, Mom. We're doing everyday low pricing. We're going to mark up everything straight 12.5%. And they don't do that in supplies. It's all a game. Are you buying 40? Are you buying 4? Are you buying for multiple offs? It's not everyday low cost. And I'll tell you another thing. Bernie Marcus, whose Atlanta Falcons almost won the Super Bowl this year, except they forgot to show up for the second half. Bernie Marcus, and when he had Home Depot, he had 4 locations in Atlanta, and he almost went bankrupt. And his last desperation deal, he flew from Atlanta to Little Rock, drove to Bentonville, and the greatest CEOs always make a religion out of availability, you know. And he walks in there and he basically cried his heart out. It's in his book, Built from Scratch, Home Depot. And Sam looked at his overhead and he says, you spent $100,000 for the new hot thing at Home Depot is a ceiling fan. Everybody's buying a ceiling fan. He said, you spent so much money marketing this 4th of July bullshit. Wouldn't you like to have that $100,000 cash? Quit playing games. Go to everyday low-cost shopping. So Walmart figured out, has 4,000 stores dead. Bernie Marcus figured out, now he's into NFL football. But no one in dentistry's figured it out. That you just quit playing games. Just a box of this. And I shouldn't have to buy 40 boxes in my little dental office,
because you're not a warehouse.
When you're a warehouse. So when do you think the game will come out of dental supplies?
See, this is what I tell your homies. Somebody's gonna do it. It's either us or somebody else, but somebody's gonna come in and say, okay, enough is enough. Enough playing games, enough of this free goods, enough of this buy 2 get 1 free, all of that stuff, because it's all games.
Right,
because the price is the price. Exactly. The price is the price. You got to pay the price. And so one day somebody's going to come in and do it. I just hope that it's us. Because I'm willing to sit down with anybody and work with anybody, meet with Shine, meet with Patterson, meet with Benko, all these guys. I'm very friendly. Let's get it done. But our mission is the mission.
But how would you work with them? We
do. We talk to them.
Oh, you're just talking to them? But
we have a discussion. It's all interesting. Nobody likes our model. This is what we've heard from one distributor telling us and say, Tiger, so that you know, we hate you. We know if you will gain attraction, we'll have to work with you, but we would prefer not to. And our problem is this.
But how do they work? How would you work?
So this is the problem. So this is what distributors tell us, right? So because we can send the orders to Benko, to Shine, to anybody. We have 125 distributors on the platform.
So you don't have a warehouse. You don't sit on the stuff.
No, we're just a software.
Oh, you're just software.
Yeah, we're just aggregating.
Finding the best places.
Yep.
Okay.
And so, for example,
who are you mostly buying from?
Again, we have no preference.
Just lowest price.
Right. So, for example, if you use
But
Patterson,
how many's on the total list?
about 140 distributors.
140.
Yeah.
So just in the U.S.
Yeah. You get Ultra Dent, top quality gloves, Benko Shine Patterson, all of them.
When you said Ultra, that's a manufacturer sells direct.
Yep.
Oh, so that 140.
We have
most
one of
that
those
would
too.
Be companies who sell direct.
It's sell direct and the distributor. So you will find somebody called Dental City. I don't know who they are. We will probably have 5 or 6 products from them, because if we sign up a client for the inventory management, part of the process, they give us all of their invoices. And they say, Tiger, we're buying from all these companies. They send us the invoices. Then we scan them. We upload that inventory in. And if there's a distributor that we've never heard about, we will add them in a platform. And then they're not preferred. They're not verified. None of that. They just on our platform. That means if the customer wants to buy these 5 products from this distributor, we'll fulfill the order. We'll make sure to grab it, send it to the distributor, and figure out how to do it. The client should not worry about it. Now, when we have all this data, though, I can go back to Shine and I say, look, guys, this client buying from Dental City, who knows what, why don't we just send these orders to you? Just give it to them at $1 less expensive, right? And you start funneling all these orders. So that's where we're in that aggregating orders.
So you've been out. So would the dentist be getting supplies mailed from UPS? Is it all UPS? Mm-hmm. Would it be coming from all these different places?
It's if they want to. So, for example, on our price comparison page, they can pick their own distributors. They can stick to their distributors. So if somebody says, Tiger, I love Patterson, they're my buddies, go on a golf course with them, just knock your socks off. Keep that line of distributors. But if there's one off or 2, 3 products that you want to try out from our distributors that we have a relationship with, for example, they will say one product goes to that distributor. So it's going to be less packaging. But I have clients that do not care at all. They will say lowest price, select that button, everything is the lowest price, and it can go to 55 different distributors if it has to.
I want to talk about this is Dentistry Uncensored, so we always talk about everything that's dark and creepy and airy. So let's go right to price discrimination.
Yes.
So the United States Supreme Court says there's 3 degrees of price discrimination. Number 1 is, I forgot what it's called, but Bill Gates would have to pay $100 for a Coke, and I'd only have to pay $1. And the Supreme Court says that's discrimination. What is that one called for? What is that one called? Price discrimination, not volume, not geographic.
My buddy Scott Drucker will know about that.
Yeah. Are you Googling what is first degree price discrimination? But anyway, first degree, I think it's what I forgot what it is, but the rich people would pay more and the poor people would pay less. And if you go to Los Angeles and you go to Beverly Hills and different areas, all the way to Compton, and went to McDonald's and got a hamburger, fry, and a Coke, a gallon of gasoline, a gallon of milk, and bread, it'd pretty much be the same price. Number 2 is volume discount, and the Supreme Court said that's legal, but you got to show your math. Obviously, if I buy one Barbie doll from Mattel and Walmart buys 10,000, obviously they're going to get it better. But you got to show your math, because there was a lot of discrimination with that, with cotton farmers in the South. You know, the black guy was getting paid a lot less than the white guy. And but third degree price discrimination is huge, especially in dentistry, and that is different geographies play different prices. I mean, I see what I'm paying for a bottle of bonding agent, and then I lecture at dental conventions in Sao Paulo, Brazil, New Delhi, India, Cambodia, and at that same bottle is 90% less. In pharmaceuticals, they'll sell Viagra, $10 a pill. I don't buy them. I buy them for Ryan, and sorry, Ryan, and they're $10 a pill here, and they're 50 cents in
it's the same pill.
But then when Walmart said, well, we're going to start buying our prescriptions in Hong Kong and then moving them back in, and then George Bush's infinite wisdom passed a law that banned the reimportation of prescriptions. Like, how did all these old lady grandmas vote for a president? And then he passes a law so that a communist Chinese guy can buy the pill 90% off. So there's a lot of third degree price discrimination in supplies. And then if someone buys it in New Delhi and ships it back in, then they say it's the gray market or the black market. What do they call it? The
gray market. That's the gray market. Yeah.
And so what is your understanding of the gray market? How would you define, my homies, what the gray market is? And what are your Dentistry Uncensored thoughts on the gray market?
So it's very tricky. It's very interesting. A lot of companies do sell gray market, right? Even though we may not know. So when it's something that, let's just say, a bonding agent or impression material or the mixing tips, right? That something has to be stored in a specific temperature and all of this. And I'm not a chemist, I don't know all the details, but I've been told that these are the products that you need to make sure they're not a gray market.
And that would be things that would break down in heat, bonding agents,
like mixing tips and things.
The little plastic mixing tip.
Yeah. I don't know why I've been told that this is like a lawsuit against some company that was a gray market.
Mixing tips, and then what was the other
like
one?
impression material.
Impression material.
Right, so it's something like a chemical related. I would have a concern about that, right? So
we have that concern in Phoenix because the inside of a UPS truck for 6 months of the year in Phoenix when it's 118 degrees outside is an oven.
Yes, it's 150 degrees probably inside.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I mean, you get your supplies, and sometimes you can't even hold onto the box.
Yeah,
you're just like,
yeah, and that's the problem. So so with these products would be a problem, but then at the same point, if somebody's selling a gray market tray cover paper, I don't know if it's an issue.
Right.
Right. So like truthfully talking about it. Now, what we do with Zen Supplies, we vet everything. We actually go and visit distributor. Right before we call them Zen Verified or Zen Preferred Distributor, I actually meet them face to face. And believe it or not, this is a funny story. When we just started, about 7 months ago, we realized that we need to do price comparison. And so I started reaching out to companies, and everybody's like, fuck you, I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to talk to you. We don't want to do this. And all of my dentists, all my clients are like, Tiger, we really need this. So I found this one company, I won't say the name, in New York. I call them and I say, guys, I have the orders. Give me the bank account information. We're going to wire you the money. Just let's get a deal done. They said, fuck you. I said, it's not going to work. So I flew to meet them. I stand at their office outside the building. The guy shows up. I'm like, yo. He's like, I think it's a scam. Like, you're telling me you're going to give me an order and the money and I don't have to do anything for that? I'm like, yeah, just fulfill the goddamn order. Send it to where I want you to send it to. That's it. So he didn't believe it. So we had to sit down, spend 2 hours. He needed to see face to face, and now it's one of our best distributors. So, like, we literally send them the orders, they fulfill, and the prices are great.
In New York, who is it?
I won't tell you.
Well, no, I know there's a lot of them, but one of the big ones in New York.
They're very small, super small, but get small. Good prices.
Yeah.
Like they have house brand.
And why did you say you named it Zen?
So Zen is like, you see how much mess we have with dental supplies between the gray market, price fixing, all of that. So when I looked at all this, and specifically inventory management, that's where my passion is. When I go in the office and I see that they don't know how much they have products, the biggest thing about our platform, when we're set and done, we tell them, we will tell you homies, and we'll say, look, right now you have $35,344.79 worth of dental inventory. No one can do it.
Right.
There's non-software out there that will do it for you. And so that's our thing. And that's why we call it
you were down here, and I was very impressed that when you were coming to Phoenix, you got Mark Costas accounts. I mean, that Mark Costas.
Mark is a great friend.
He's been on the show. How many offices does he own now?
10 or 11.
Yeah. And how old is he?
He's like 32, like me.
Yeah. And he's a baby, and he's crushing it. And what I like about Costas is he reminds me so much of Mark, who's the guy from Southwest Airlines, Herb Kelleher.
Yes.
Where Herb Kelleher wanted he said the secret to lower prices is we're going to have every plane be the same.
737, yep.
And all these other companies are learning how to maintenance all these planes, all these parts. And you go into Mark Costas, he's got a dozen offices, and you go into any operatory and open the third drawer, and it's the
same thing. Yep.
And
that's why he got us.
That little attention to detail. Yeah. Any of his doctors can walk in any office, and if they need this, they pull that drawer. And I need to get him to come down.
You know his story? You know that he applied to dental school 21 times?
Really?
Yes. And that's why I love him. Like the guy, this is the thing. I don't know if you would agree with me, but there are only few people in dental industry that do things first and then go talk about it. There are way too many people that will try to tell you, buy my course or do this and do that, and then when it's actually need to work, they don't even know the details. Like Gary Tackers, for example, one of them, right? He's got the practice, he will test things out, and then he will go and coach people. Mark he will try things out and then go and try to give it to his mastermind people. Like he would always try it first. And when I approached him a couple of months ago, first, I just wanted to be friends because he's a great guy, same as you are. I just wanted to approach and make sure that we have this relationship. And then he said, what do you do? I said, this is Zen Supplies. He's like, well, let me try. I said, well, just let's give it a time. So now he said, let me try in one office and then I'll tell my people if it's a good product or not. I said, no problem, let's do it. And another part is I get people that approach us and they say, can we try it? But we're not going to pay for it. He's the one who signed up, paid the whole thing. He's like, I want to experience everything. I want to experience the payment, how it goes, this and that. So when I put my word on it, I know 100% that it's going to work. That's why I love him.
Nice. How long has this company been out? How many dentists?
20 months.
20 months. So you're brand spanking new. And how's signing up customers going?
I'll be very honest. I expected a lot more, but I also know the market is the market. That we're adjusting, we're learning what the doctors want, we're learning how the sign up is going to go. So we're signing up. We're almost at 90 locations.
90 offices. So if you would have got a job as a rep for Patterson, Benco, Burkhardt, you wouldn't have 90 offices buying from you this fast. So,
but we're a software company. We should be a little different play.
So you're in Chicago. That's where the American Dental Association is at 211 North. Is it South 211 North Chicago Avenue? Have you talked to anybody there?
No.
Yeah. So what do my homies find if they go to ZenSupplies.com?
So they will
What's
have
going to be on there?
So they will have a green button on the top right corner that will say schedule the demo, and they will be prompted to my schedule. They will schedule the time that is convenient for them, and I'll be personally on that demo to make sure that we give the best. Nice. On top of it, they have all their...
And what do you think, a lot of dentists, they always say overhead. What should the overhead of supplies...
4.5%.
You think it should be 4.5?
Should be 4.5. There's no reason why it should be more.
And what do you think the range is in dentistry today?
6 to 9.
6 to 9?
Yep.
And you think it could be... So if it's 6 to 9, if you were the 9, you could cut it in half.
Yes, and the biggest thing is the habit. Like, their habit is holding 1 or 2% of the overhead. The habit of, no, it's convenient for me to call this rep. No, I actually like this bonding agent because it smells better, and all these things. If they really want to save, I can get them to 4.5%.
Yeah, and the other thing I've heard, I've known a lot of dental supply reps and a lot of dentists, and so many of those supply reps say, well, a lot of the dentists have high overhead just because everything they buy is the Mercedes-Benz. Mm-hmm. Another thing they get mad at is, this office has 2 dentists and 3 hygienists, and they order 5 different kinds of gloves.
Yes.
So there's a lot of, do you coach them on...
It's all there. It's all in a platform. They can see it.
Yeah.
Because you see, like, this is what I love about this conversation.
So when you go to ZenSupplies, and you schedule a demo,
I'll show them the system.
But I mean, this platform you're talking about, can they see that?
Mm-hmm. They'll have to sign up, upload all the inventory, and
how much
things
does
like
it
that.
cost to sign up?
The setup fee is $299, so that we get the inventory, we convert that inventory, and we coach them, and then
so you get their existing inventory.
Yeah. So all of the invoices, whatever they bought in the last 12 months, we upload it all up. So you give me Ultradent, Brasseler, all of the invoices. My team will convert that into virtual inventory. And then we'll coach them what to do with that product and the inventory and things like that. We'll tell them how to use an iPad. So now they walk around with an iPad to control the inventory.
This whole distributor direct model is even, there's people who sell direct like Ultradent and Dentmat. There's people who only sell through distributors like Ivoclar and 3M. But now there's companies so big like Dentsply, Sirona, where they own divisions where like Tulsa Dental Product is one of their divisions who sells direct. And then other ones of their divisions only go through distributors. And it's kind of, you're seeing that more and more. Some companies have a culture direct.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be an interesting shift. Amazon, like we started the conversation, will help with that. If anything else, Amazon will just try to bring at least we'll shake the industry. I don't think China is going to go anywhere. I don't think Patterson is going to go anywhere. I don't think Benco. Patterson might have some changes. But Benco is China. They're very, very strong. They're very good companies. I have a lot of friends at 2 of these companies, and they're very, very good people.
Have you talked to Chuck and Rick?
Chuck and Rick at Benco?
Benco?
No, I talked to Mike Burns and a couple other guys.
Chuck and Rick are totally available. Have you talked to Stan Bergman?
I did. You know how I met him?
How?
Chicago Midwinter Conference this past February. So I have my little iPad mini. I walk around and I see him there. I never met him before. So I roll up to my
home. Is he Russian?
No.
German?
He's from South Africa.
Oh, that's right.
He's a baller. So I roll up to my guys at Shine, the regional managers, and I'm like, hey guys, you know Stanley Berg, can you introduce me? They're like, buddy, you're on your own. I'm like, okay, fine. I roll up to him, I shake my hand. He's like, what do you do? I said, I have this inventory management software. He's like, no way. And I plugged the buttons and I said, look, I can control everything and I can see prices and everything. He's like, why do you have Patterson there? I'm like, well, because, you know, it's a software. He's like, and he called like two of his right-hand guys. They come up and I show it to them and we have a little conversation. And one of the guys, really awesome guys, he's like, I'm going to email you. I'm like, bullshit. I heard that before. Like from so many people. The next morning, I get an email saying, do you do online demos? I say, yes. He's like, let's schedule one. And then they scheduled the demo within a week. So that's why I think they're always proactive, they're always looking ahead. I think those companies will succeed.
I was most impressed with Stan Bergman. I graduated school in 87, started my little black and white newsletter, The Friend, in 94. And then in 1999, instead of a $10 subscription magazine, which went to 4,000 dentists a month, I went to Dentaltown and changed the name from Farran because it wasn't no longer me talking to you. It was a flat organization. It was Dentaltown and a website. And I'm sitting there at a patient, and Stan Bergman called my office and said, "Tell me about this Dentaltown." And I started telling him. He goes, "No, come and tell me." And I said, "What do you want me to come down?" He goes, "I don't care. Whenever you're in New York." I said, "What time do you get to your office?" At 8 o'clock. Oh my God! I finished up my patients. Well, I had my receptionist call, and there was a red-eye flight from Phoenix to New York. I left, flew clear across the country all night long, got to his office at like 6 o'clock in the morning and sat on the porch. And my God, I couldn't believe it. Yeah. He took me in his office. He talked to me for like 2 hours. Mm-hmm. I said, how does the CEO of Shine have 2 hours with some punk-ass kid from Phoenix? But he is so damn cool. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we've been trying to arrange a time to do this. I want to Skype him, and he don't want to do Skype. He wants to do a plus. I think
he's old school.
Flying to New Orleans. New Orleans to do that, and
he's very old school.
So I love that. So then they're gonna upload all this stuff. Do you think what other barriers to resistance you think you'll get from staff?
So the barriers we get, first of all, is the team members will say, well, I'm so busy right now, I don't have time, I don't know if I want to do this, I don't know if it's worth my time. We're okay with inventory. The biggest thing that I fight against is the rubber band. Have you seen the rubber band in the office? How they manage inventory with the rubber band?
Where you rubber band the last one.
Yeah, I did the funny video on Facebook for people because literally, like, it's you lose the rubber band, it goes somewhere. How are you gonna manage the inventory? So we have team members who resist sometimes, and then sometimes we have people that literally last week, one client, he looks at the order, we show him that we're gonna save 27.6% on the order. 27.6. Some products are generic against the brands, but a lot of products are brand to brand. And we're saving 27.6%. He said, I get free shipping from one of my big bucks distributors. I'm okay. I'm going to stick with my distributors. And that was about $200 per one order that we were saving. I was like...
So I always tell people that if they've got an intelligent business decision that's black and white, start first with corporate. They're the only ones who make black and white business decisions like that. Like Costas. Mm-hmm. You know, he's already doing it. He's already got a dozen offices. There's a corporate's just more business focused.
But we want to help. But then essentially we turn ourselves to the solar doctors because we want to help the solar doctors. Our system is not that difficult. It's super easy to use. You just got to rely on it. You can use it. It's a good system.
What I mean corporate is obviously someone with 700 locations and 1,400 dogs like Heartland or $500 like obviously they would do this internally. But what I'm talking about corporate is where I see most of the corporate size is a orthodontist who has a location north, south, east, west in Sydney. Mm-hmm. 3 or 4 because the only corporate I see really delivering value is it takes 4 or 5 offices where you can have a level of management where you can have someone focused on HR,
supplies,
advertising, supplies.
The
general dentist, the family practice deal you have to wear so many hats. The only time I really see it working is if one spouse is doing the dentistry and the other spouse is doing the business. I noticed when I grew up in Kansas, all the farmers, whether it was wheat, dairy, cattle, the 20% who, when dad was out on the tractor, mom was at the kitchen table like this with a calculator and doing all of this, they were crushing it. But the 80% where dad was at a tractor, no one was doing the business, and like so much of private dentists. But when you see you work with 90 offices, do you see anything that the more successful, profitable, growing businesses are doing that the least less profitable? Because these get one thing. What? Mindset.
That's it. You know it.
Yeah.
The days when I always talk about this, the days of opening an office and hanging the dentist sign and hoping that somebody's going to come in are gone.
Disagree.
Tell me why.
If you're 2 hours out of town away from an airport, if it takes you 2 hours to drive to the Phoenix airport or the Chicago airport, everyone 2 hours away from a major airport goes up, sets up. They don't take any of the PPO fees. So instead of in Phoenix where I charge $1,000 for a crown, but I have to adjust it down to $600, you go in the room, they'll say, I'll charge $1,200 for a crown. I'm not. So those guys they'll do one crown in Phoenix, $1,000, but it's adjusted to $600, and their overhead might be $500 on it. And then you go to Maricopa,
2 hours away.
Yeah, and you can do a crown for $1,200, no adjustment. So there's two Americas. There's there's 147 big cities where 2/3 of the dentists go and half of America lives. Then there's a 19,000 towns where the other half of America lives and only 1/3 of the dentists go to. And by the time you're 2 hours away from the big city's airport, you're frickin' doing $1 million, taking home $350 a year, and all you had was a sign.
Right.
Plus one more thing, not to cut you short, but if you go into a town of 5,000 and you open a new dental office, how long does it take every person in that town to figure out?
I mean, if you're the only dentist.
No, I mean a new dentist. Like I know so many dentists way out in the middle of nowhere that they go to Walmart, and Walmart sells off parcels of their parking lot because they want it to be an end destination. I mean, they don't want you to drive 2 hours in from the farm to go to Walmart and that's it. If someone wants to open up an ice cream store, a restaurant, dental office, they want it to be the end destination. And this sounds so weird to big city slickers, but when you're out there in the middle of nowhere on a Friday night, what are you going to do?
Right.
And the family wants to go to drive into Walmart, and there might be some chicken house restaurant or an IHOP, so then that dentist goes in that parking lot, and he builds a freestanding building, and Walmart's like, we want to already build a free, and Walmart's like, friggin' build it. And they build that dental office that first Friday and Saturday night. Everyone within an hour drive of that Walmart knows
that there's a dentist.
And that's another reason why they're so clever. They also let the RVs park there in a store for free. For two reasons. One's the money. When you park your RV there instead of the KOA, they're going to go in there and restock their RV. So they'll buy a couple $100 worth of stuff. But the flip side of that is you're out in the middle of Bumblebutt, Oklahoma, and you're talking to some guy that drove all the way from here to New Jersey, driving across the flyover state. Yeah. And it's just cool. He's sitting there, and they break out the lawn chairs, drinking a beer. And those dental offices will open up in that Walmart parking lot. They'll do no marketing advertising ever, and they'll get 300 new patients a month and do $1 million collection the first year. And in those small towns, the average a $10 an hour job is kick butt. And everything's cheaper. But anyway, so there's two Americas. So the urban, where 2/3 of the kids are going to go, so they can have the fancy restaurants, the Phoenix Coyotes, Arizona Cardinals, blah, 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 blah. They have to get sophisticated.
Yep.
And they got to be a businessman.
But that you agree with that model, the sign dentist will not work. You got to hustle.
In the city.
Yeah. Right, because you might be competing with somebody who's already there, who's already doing Yelp reviews and Google reviews and crushing it, right? And so now you come in with a sign, you're not going to succeed. And so I think it all comes down to the mindset and what you want to do. Like I always talk about, the dental profession is so amazing, you can literally finish a dental school and you can become an entrepreneur. by opening up one office, and you can set your schedule 6 to 2, 7 to 4, however you want to do it, or you can work 24/7, including Saturday, Sunday. It's your choice how you want to work, right? But everything outside of dental, if you want to be an entrepreneur, there's no way you can work 7 to 2. You work 24/7 all the time, right? And the chance of surviving is less than 1% or 5%. In dentistry, you can have one office, you can have a nice life, but I'm talking about somebody who has one office but not happy, wants to grow. They need to have the right mindset. They need to have the systems in place. They need to make sure that they understand what they're doing.
I don't see, it's almost like there's all the noise about corporate dentistry.
Yeah.
And then I must be staring at a parallel universe, because corporate's gone from like 0 to 12% in the last decade of all the dentistry. So they're thinking, oh, we're going to go to 0. We went from 0 to 12, so we're going to 24 to 48, and 2010 it'll be half of America. It's like, dude, I don't care if you're the 90% of associate jobs, which is in the private sector, individuals, or the 12% at corporate. No one's keeping associates. Mm-hmm. When you go in and you talk to those CEOs, they say, how long is your average associate on? He goes, you're not going to quote me, are you? And some of them will say, we can't keep the average one a year. And the good ones are saying, about 80% I'm leaving 2 years. And then you go talk, like all my friends in Phoenix, every single one who's my age, been doing it 30 years, I'll say, how many associates you had? 5, usually they'll stay 2, 3. I mean, in my 30 years, I've had 2, 3, I think a couple stayed a decade, 3 stayed 7, and that's the A+. And there's a lot of them, 1 or 2, start their own practice.
Yep.
I mean, I don't see where these people are that want to go to 8 years of dental school to be your employee. I don't want to work for you.
No.
Homo sapien wants their own damn cave, their own damn house, doesn't want neighbors, doesn't want to live under your thumb. They don't like checks and balances. They don't like transparent. They don't, and yet all of a sudden we're going to turn into zombies. We're all going to work for the S&P 500.
Yeah.
I don't see any evidence of this.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think what's happening, if you look at it from a bigger standpoint, I think, again, this is all good because there are dentists out there that just don't like the business aspect. And I'm so happy that the corporate is growing because there's so many DSOs that will actually give a damn about what your feelings are. They will sit down and say, so what do you like? And you say, well, I love this, I like doing this. They'll say, okay, so give us 45 or whatever the percentage, however they decide to do it, and they will get it done. And so now the dentist can focus on the dentistry and do what they love to do. I think it's a great thing. But at the same time, you're right that a lot of dentists have that entrepreneurial nerve within them that they want to have their own office. And I don't think it's going to go away.
Have you talked to John Miles?
Not yet.
You know who he is?
Not yet.
We had a guy on the show who is the most connected man in corporate. And again, corporate's got a weird name because there's like 35 who have like 50 locations or more, and they get all the noise as corporate.
Yeah.
Then you got all the individual dentists, and almost all of them are incorporated LLC. So the name corporate dentistry is completely insane. I mean, when's the last time you met a dentist who didn't have an accountant make him an LLC or a PC or whatever? But there's this middle market of corporate. Not the 35 ones that have 50 or more locations. Not all the individuals that have one location, but
5 to 15.
I would say actually 4. I mean, when you go to so many of these towns that have like 10, 20,000 people, they realize, well, if you're going to do radio, if you're going to do billboard, if you're going to do advertising, they're not going to drive all the way across town. Why don't we do it north, south, east, west? And then downtown, we can just have 5, 6 employees. There's someone in HR, someone in advertising, someone in supplies, someone in stuff. And these guys are really adding value because the dentist who doesn't have a stay-home spouse to do all the business, now they are getting all these efficiencies that pay for that one layer management. Where I don't see the efficiencies, like say you had a corporate in Arizona. So no matter what efficiencies they're doing, they need money. But then they got to ship 15% to a headquarter location. Mm-hmm. And that what could that headquarter location do to lower your overhead 10%, 12%, 50%?
Yeah.
But that first layer, like say if they got your splice from 9 to 4.5, if they got you better deals, if they were doing your HR,
or lab fees.
they were, people, employees, every day they need motivation, inspiration, perspiration, deodorant, floss, all the HR stuff, the evaluations, and I think that would be my target market for you, because those guys, when they see a straightforward black and white business deal, they jump on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'll fix up that guy. I think we're seeing him in New Orleans in 2 weeks. But he's the number one consultant with all those people who have 5 to 10 offices.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
and they're all over, and they're mostly all over the Midwest.
Yep.
North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Kentucky, Tennessee, and they're just crushing it. So I always say, you said mindset was the number one thing. I always say you got to stay hungry, you got to have a hard work ethic. Obviously, you're a hustler. I think Grant Cardone says it all the time. I mean, if you're an American and you hustle, you're going to make it. Mm-hmm. But if you're lazy and entitled and sitting on the couch waiting your hand for you, humble people listen to their customers, they listen to their employees, they listen to everybody. But here's the one that really freaks me out, is curious. There's just some kids, even when they're 2 or 3 years old, they just say, I don't know, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And there's that other kid, like the smartest curious, Thomas Edison, who made 10,000 light bulbs before it worked. And there's just some dentists I know, whether it's, why did that root canal fail? Why did that implant not work? Or why is my overhead high? But gosh darn, those dentists are so damn smart. It just comes from, what are they curious about? Mm-hmm. If they're just curious about clinical, mm-hmm. they usually can be some of the best dentists in the world
100%.
With really high overhead.
Yeah.
But if they're curious about business, my God, they can crush it.
And then you got to be fearless. Yeah, but it all starts with that curiosity. It all starts again with just a very simple asking questions. Why is it this? Why is it that? And how is it this? And is this? And does it make sense? It doesn't mean you're going to always have answers, right? But it's like just starting the process, like having that within your routine of continuously asking yourself questions.
Yeah. So so I see rural over urban. You see mindset. We both agree on mindset. And I also see fearless. And when I got to school May 11th, I had my lease signed, my office open. I was seeing patients September 21st. These frickin' kids want to walk around the swimming pool for 3 or 4 years. They go, well, I should do a GPR. Well, I should go work at corporate. Well, I should pay down some debt. When basically what they're saying for 3 or 4 or 5 years, I'm just a chicken shit. I'm not going to go dive in the pool. And there's some of us who just walked out of dental school and went to the swimming pool and dove in head first, because the I don't know what you could fear. If you buy a dental office in America, not even 0.4% default on their loan. Mm-hmm. So it can't be a competitive industry. What percent of restaurants, if you started a restaurant, what percent of restaurants?
80%.
Yeah, 80% be bankrupt within how many years?
5.
Yeah, 80% failure rate. Dentistry, 0.4%. What are you afraid of? When people tell me, and I watch and I'll tell you, like, we're going to start a restaurant, I always say, dude, don't do it. And they say, why? And I say, because it's a 4 out of 5 chance you'll fail, and you're not young and dumb and single. You got a spouse and 3 kids.
Yeah.
And then in dental school, they come out and why do they live in fear? Why does it take them 3 or 4 years?
Because I think, I'll use somebody else's philosophy on that, is I think lately the fear has been fed to us because there's so many blue pills for that people are willing to sell you. I think it's the...
You mean like Zoloft and you mean Prozac? You mean antidepressant?
I mean, not necessarily. I'm more like, so there's a consultant for that. There's a seminar for that you can go and you can listen and you can do instead of actually doing. There was a Facebook post recently by Alan Mead on Dental Hacks Nation, right? So he did a post.
He's been on the show?
That's fantastic, and he's a great guy, right?
He's a great guy.
So he did a post
when he spoke at the Arizona State Dental Association. I think I cried twice during the presentation, and at the end
he's got an incredible story.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to kill it. I mean, there's no question about it. So he did a post on some seminar, I won't say the names, about dental, the DSO market and how you're going to do this and this and this, and how little amount of people sign up. And so he opened up for people to ask questions. And that was primarily targeting for somebody to go from 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 offices. And I did a big post there, and I said, why do you need to have a seminar for $1,500 on how to build a DSO, how to go from 1 or 2 or 3 offices, when you can listen to your podcast, when you can listen to Mark Costa's podcast, where he shares everything he does, not pay a damn dime, and then just learn yourself, right? Because now it's just so cool to go in a seminar, spend $1,500, and somebody will tell you what to do, and you're not going to do it.
Well, I'll tell you what, the reason I haven't gone to multiple locations, what I did differently is I did turnkeys. So what I would do is I'd say, okay, they're just not getting it done. So what I'd do is I'd say, well, I'll just get it done for them. And what I would do is kind of fly under the radar. I'd go rent 2,000 square feet, and the landlord would say, well, I'll charge you $10 a square foot for a 3-year lease. I'd say, no, make it $20 a square foot for a 5-year lease, and you do the build out. Because you built this 18-acre parcel. Obviously, what I would pay to have that build out would be twice of what you'll pay. And they all said okay. And then I go to at the time it was Healthco, something long gone.
Yeah.
And I'd say, okay, Healthco, you stock out the whole deal, load it all up, and it'd be like $70,000-$80,000. And I'd say, well, I'm not going to give you a dime. It's going to be a 5-year lease and to own. So I got my free build out, stocked it all in equipment. Then I go back to my office and get rid of the 3 low-hanging fruit, my worst receptionist, my worst assistant, my worst hygienist, put them over there. Then I'd hire a great associate, and I'll say, I'll pay you 25% of whatever this house collects. So I have no money down. I got an associate in there making 25%. After 24 months of data, I go down to my bank, to the small SBA department. I'd give them all the doctor's data, the revenue, the sales, and I'd say, can you give me $250,000? Can she carry $250,000? And they said, absolutely. So then I'd go in there and I'd deliver a paycheck. By the way, here's your paycheck. But if you sign here, it's your practice. And they'd look at it and they go, are you serious? God dang. They just shit their pants because a 24-year payment for $250,000, and boom, and I'd sit there and say, I have no money. I couldn't even figure the return on investment of that because I have no money into it, and I made $250,000. And I used to do that because this is what I firmly believe. Whatever the business model is for corporate dentistry has not been discovered yet. I think if you are going to find it, it'll be from more models like the law firm. I'll tell you why. Half the lawyers are individuals and half the lawyers work in corporate. But you know what? If I go work in a law firm and I'm young like you, I'm hustling, I'm getting new business, I'm all that stuff. If I'm just really crushing it, one night we'll go up to dinner and say, you made partner. And now you're not an employee, you're an owner.
Partner.
You can't be a deal. But in corporate dentistry, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's like you're an employee now. And you'll be an employee 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now.
Recently heard from Tom Larkin that, again...
Tom Larkin, where did I know that name?
Yeah. So I'm sure you know about him. He's in, I think, Lexington, Kentucky right now. He's a very, very cool guy.
Dentist?
Yes.
Okay.
He's been around. He's a great. So you might want to have him on a podcast. Very, 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 very good guy. So I think he works somewhere right now where he matches associates with
this guy right here, Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's him.
Okay.
So he matches associates with the practices. And he said some stories where the doctors would hang the assistants for 3 to 4 years saying, well, it's going to come. We're going to figure out. And the associate is like, come on, let's figure out. And then, boom, they leave. Just because they just don't want to wait. And I'm always surprised, why can't you have a clear path and figure out, okay, so
here's why. Okay, so he made a great point. So when you're a young dentist, okay, we've all see this every year for 30 years. You want to go get a job, and the old man says, well, I'm 63, and I'm going to retire when I'm 65. Come give me the 2 best years of your life, and I'll sell you the practice. Okay, at 65, they never sell their practice. You know how much money you have to never have a paycheck again? Because 2 years later, does his wife want a new car? Probably. Do they want to go on a vacation? Probably. Do the kids need one? Probably. They never retire. So they string you along, and you quit. So why doesn't he want to sell you a partnership? Because when you get married and have great sex and children and go on vacations together, that fails half the time. Now you're married to a dentist, no sex, no kids, no social glues. and you're married to them. So again, I think the final solution for corporate would come from like these big accounting firms, Pricewaterhouse Consulting, law firms. But it has not been discovered yet in dentistry. Nobody is keeping their associates. If you come out of there at 25 and you're going to set up 4 or 5 locations, you're going to practice till you're 65. I mean, your average associate's going to be somewhere between 1 to 2 years in big corporate for 80% of their associates. And all the private sector, it's the same thing. 2 years, 7 years good. Like I say, I've had a couple for a decade, but that's a couple out of 30 years.
Yeah.
So I don't see where that model's coming from. And then there's so much misinformation. They'll say, well, she's a soccer mom. She just wants to leave at 5, not worry about it. A soccer mom is someone who says, my daughter's got a fever. I'm not coming in. She don't want to get permission from the office manager. Or maybe it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The school calls and says, your kids, just vomited. And she says, cancel my last 2 appointments. I'm out of here. Yeah. A real soccer mom owns her own business. She calls her shots. Again, I see no evidence for dentists. For my homies, I see no evidence that there's this large pool of people who want to be your employee.
Yeah.
I mean, what I see on Dentaltown, you can't get 2 dentists to agree that today's Thursday. I mean, why don't you go ask the dentist, what's the best impression material? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no.
There's 400 dental implants for sale, and every know-it-all dentist can tell you why his is the best one, and you're a fool. I mean, and now they're going to be your employee and behave and be told what to do and use this impression material. And they're too highly educated. It's like the military. I'll never forget, we had a 3-star general in our office. His name was Ed McNeff, and Jan's my rough and tough assistant. It was like 30 years ago. And she goes, Ed, how come you don't let women in the military? Do you think there should be women in the military? And Ed goes, hell no. And she thought, oh my God, she thought Ed was going to agree with her. And she said, Ed, I'm a girl. Why shouldn't there be women in the military? He says the only people dumb enough to take that hill with bullets flying out of her is a boy between about 17 and 22. By the time a boy's 30, he's finally smart enough where a girl is at 15 and says, I think if we do that, we're going to get shot. And they just want young and dumb and young and dumb. I just don't see. I see big companies that have 500,000 employees. They're like Walmart. Most of their employees didn't finish high school. They're young, they're poor, they're undereducated. But by the time you get into, like, you're an engineer. Yeah. By the time you get into engineers, lawyers, CPAs, account, it's like herding cats. And if you told me I wanted to have a company that had 500,000 people, I'd say, well, they better be young boys in the military under 22, too young and dumb to ask questions, or maybe just a bunch of poor, uneducated people. But could you imagine running, like say there was one dental office in America, and you owned it. There are 211,000 Americans alive today that have a license for dentistry. 150,000 practice general dentistry 3 hours a week or more. 30,000 are specialists there. But say all 211,000 worked for you. What do you think the HR department would look like? You'd have to drop acid on the way to work just to even try to take in what the hell these guys were saying. I mean, managing 211. I'd rather teach 211,000 cats to swim the English Channel. I mean, that would be a shitload easier than getting 211,000 dentists to agree on anything.
You're right. You have a good point.
It's not going to. They're too educated.
So, and again, it's really hard to say. There were cases in the history of other industries that was impossible to do. Somebody came in and figured out. We're yet to see. The market is the market. We'll figure out. But I think the points that you're saying, you're absolutely right, because it's just so hard to imagine that will be dominating. And everybody's saying, well, the medical did it. Right? And then the dentistry would go the same way. What do you think?
Well, the medical had that's a great point, and it's actually hilarious. The technology in medicine, the MRI, the CAT scan, the MRI, the equipment got so crazy that you couldn't buy a $5 million MRI machine and have one guy use it 32 hours a week. But at the same time, the insurance companies took over the distribution. So right now, you got all these PPOs. That what would happen to dentistry if what would happen if Delta Dental bought Heartland Dental and Pacific Dental and Aspen Dental, so they controlled selling the insurance, and then they controlled filling the orders. So in healthcare, the people selling the insurance started buying the hospitals. And then another thing that the government took a blind eye to is, everybody's complaining how Obamacare, all the raise the costs is. You don't really see a lot of evidence for that. What you really see a lot of evidence is that in the last 15, 20 years, every single market in town and in the rural where there were two major hospitals, they all consolidated into one.
Yeah.
What happens when two competitors consolidate into one? What do they?
There's no competition. The cost goes up.
So they raise their prices.
Yeah.
So the real problem in healthcare is the people selling the insurance bought the hospitals. That was their first move. Then all this merger and acquisition deal right there on your New York Stock Exchange while everybody's watching them. As they consolidate, they even say in their 10Q and their 10K annual report, by merging and consolidating, we can raise our prices. And so, yeah, I would say that dentistry would follow medicine if Delta, Aetna, Blue Cross, and Blue Shield, and so that would be a deal. And what's funny is the people that complain the most about corporate dentistry on the lecture circuit are all the same people telling you need a $150,000 CAD CAM, you need a $150,000 CVCT, you need a $100,000 laser. It's like, dude, if you bought those three things, you just forced corporate. Because now I got to go from 1 to 2 or 3.
Yep.
And then if I got 3 people in a group, then maybe we'll join another group. Then maybe Heartland will come in and buy both of us. Yep. So I would be worried about buying all the high price stuff, and I'd be keeping an eye out on your insurance companies.
Yeah, and in between managing the business.
Yeah.
Simple.
Hey, I just want to say this. I think you are young and hungry and humble, and you're a hustler, and I respect that. And this is not a commercial. No one pays me to be. Did you pay me money?
I mean, I left.
You were
no,
Russian. You're supposed to bring me a bottle. What's your favorite Russian bottle? Stilichnia?
No, the Russian Standard.
That's what it's called?
Yeah, or I would drink Tito's.
What I want to say about the Russian... did you ever hear about the Russian vodka antibiotic story?
No.
This is really, really interesting. So the brain has what they call a blood-brain barrier, and it keeps everything out. And you'll notice that people who are serious about their drinking, when you drink dark stuff like Jack Daniel's whiskey, there's like 300 or 400 part per million impurities in it from the barrel, everything. It makes it brown. So then when you drink, it dilates your arteries and veins. Those impurities get in there, and then you have a hangover. So your hardcore alcoholics learn all those lessons to stay away from all the darks, the browns, and they migrate to a vodka. But the Russians wouldn't just make the vodka once; they'd filter it again, and they'd filter it again. And some of them, like you go to Moscow, I think there's a level 4 vodka here, which means it's been charcoal filtered 4 times. You go to Moscow, some of them are 6-8 times. But some physician, he was realizing that, and he says, I wonder if we need to get the antibiotics or the medication into the brain, I wonder if they take the medication with a shot of vodka.
Would it go faster?
The vodka would dilate the arteries and veins if we could get it. And he started doing these experiments where you would take the medication, they did cerebral spinal fluid, no trace of the antibiotic, give the medication with a shot of vodka, and it'd show up in the cerebral spinal fluid. So it opened up a new door that says, hey, these areas that we thought could never get medication before, there are ways to open up the blood-brain barrier, and the most obvious one is vodka, and every alcoholic figured out that it must dilate the deals, because when you drink all the brown stuff, you get massively hungover the next day.
Yeah, or 2.
But, hey, stay young, stay humble, stay hungry, stay curious. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome. This is an honor to be here today.